Welcome, everyone, to another Thursday's New Teaching Show. Today we are talking about UFOs, UAPs, disclosure, and all those things in between. I'm joined by Dale, the bib Tobin. He needs a bib because he's still the seat on the shirt. Laura, Quickie Massey, and Maty, the Grand Traveler. Welcome back, guys. We had an adventuresome Tuesday show, but we are now getting back into the grandness of teaching, talking about all the recent UFO stuff. We didn't do a UFO show last week because we felt it was more important to talk about the solstice. But now, since everybody's still talking about UFOs, UAPs, Dr. Greer, the Vegas plate, the Vegas alien sighting, we think that would be a good idea to talk about it. With that being said, everyone that is listening on the interweb nets, we have a special request for you. Go on down to that like button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and show us a little love. All right, everybody, let's talk about aliens, UFOs, and all those other things. Who is the adventurer that wants to start? None of you, huh?
I was going to say first of all, Andrew, your audio is slightly bad. I don't know if maybe you could try and figure something out.
Let me turn off my camera. That's the best I can do right now. Go ahead.
Okay, that sounds much better. So obviously, the first place we want to go is the Nevada UFO, the Las Vegas UFO. Now, you did tell me where these beings had come from, but I couldn't remember. It was something like Octorian, but it was a different name.
Uthorian, like Uther.
Uthorian.
Uthorian. Yeah. Now, the thing is, you have to remember the setup. So the Thursday before the Wednesday before the Las Vegas thing, you had David Bruce come out, the next Department of Defense whistleblower that admitted their crash recovery teams, testified in front of closed-door Congress, and they all know that the secret programs exist. Everyone in Congress knows, they're just doing nothing about it. You had your Friday incident with ships landing in Vegas, and on Monday you had Dr. Stephen Greer do a full brand new disclosure project at the National Press Club. That's what happened in those 3 days. But previous to that, we have had 7 confirmations from the American government in 10 years that UFOs exist or life on other worlds exists. It has been said, it just wasn't regurgitated through the mainstream news.
So how did this get out so much, Andrew? Because usually with stuff like this, you don't really see it. But in England, I'm seeing it all over, like Sky News and everywhere. And it's kind of sticking because they keep going back to it and adding bits to the story. So it's strange how it's stuck so much, this story. And
it's stuck this time because the mainstream media has fractured. You've had all these big, high-powered news people over the years who have left and done their own YouTube show. Kim Iverson, Crystal Ball, Sager Inetti, Joe Rogan, so on and so forth, and other people actually from the news industry who actually will cover the real topics. And there's enough of them now that they were able to make the zeitgeist stick.
And also, there was a police officer that witnessed it. I mean,
three police officers.
So has it gone beyond the system being able to hijack it in any way, this information? Or can they still...
It was hijacked. No, it was hijacked. It was skinned. They did do an effective job. The thing is, you have all those news reporters reporting it, and that's the power of real news when it's uncontrolled. They can't make it go away.
And it's all over TikTok.
They can only discredit those that are talking about it, which is what's going on.
Have you seen any videos of that guy who was on the interview, that young kid? Have you seen any interviews of him lately? Like the people who saw the beings. Have there been
they've stopped giving interviews, as far as I know. I don't know if they've restarted because they're being harassed and people are coming to their homes all the time. And then we found out more stuff. The actual police, the Las Vegas police officers had put up cameras a few days before and took them down a few days after. And there's no, because they told the family that they're putting forward that it's a crime. And then they have video of people taking the cameras down. So they have the video. The still landing in the background. And that's where the men in black, I'm sure they were all having a late night party one day, and their phones were going off, and they just didn't answer it, or they're up taking a crap, and they just didn't get there in time.
Yeah, we're not really hearing you properly, Andrew. It's got quite
choppy
choppy now.
All right, you go on. Let me see what I can do. I'll figure it out. Hold on.
Okay.
And for me, as I watched that interview, because it was hilarious, because you see even the policeman say, if you see a UFO, don't ring me. He was like, fuck that, that's not in my pay grade. He was like, well, if you see it again, don't fucking ring me. It's like, you're not dealing with the cops, you're dealing with Offworld. Like, who the fuck do you ring then?
So do you think this one, the Vegas one, has had more coverage than any others up till now?
Well, the interesting thing is, Laura, like with most of these UFO videos, they're not clear. You know, they're just not. I mean, but you know, if a ship landed in average Joe's back garden, he's not exactly going to run out there within 6 feet of these huge beings and poke a camera in their face, is he? So I get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, but the footage is debatable. However, obviously, you know, I've spoken to Andrew about it, and he confirmed it as a real event. I'll let him explain what was actually going on there, but some of the backings that he told me was that these are good guys,
right?
And they. I mean, he may say something different, but from what I gathered from the short conversation we had, they basically just landed, came out, got back in, took off to test the responses.
Maty,
and the defenses of the system.
The human mind. So that kid who saw it, or someone who sees that, like, what happens to their mind? Say they've not seen anything like that before, and all of a sudden you're just chilling and you go in the back garden, there's these 10-foot fucking blue beings or something like.
We had a pistol in his hand.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a handgun, and I think I may be tempted, if I had one, to do the same thing. Just make sure you're peaceful first. Brave of them to do that, though.
Yeah, I suppose that is maybe that's just a reaction, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, you know, it wasn't like I've come across them, you know, and they're very secretive about the things they do, but these guys shot across the sky in a like blue streak, came down and just landed in somebody's property, walked around and then took off again, and it's just an incredible thing to happen.
How spot on that cop camera was on that Pacific time when it was coming down, it was in front of him. Like the synchronicity of that was incredible. And so for everybody in the chat as well, and everybody listening, so if you want to write in the chat as well what you experienced from it, and if you heard about it and what your thoughts of it, because I even saw a lot of my family talking about it, and I have never seen any of my family talk about UFOs. Then all of a sudden one of them was talking about the UFO in Las Vegas, and I was like, sorry, what? So it's got out quite far, probably one of the furthest stories which I've seen go out in the news and hearing from family members and so on.
Yes, that sort of makes it more acceptable in some ways, doesn't it? Do you think people are finding it more acceptable?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
it. Because it's the human brain, isn't it? And when I think it's like, how can you get your brain ready for something like that when you're so programmed for so long? It's kind of like you have to bring things in subtly to someone, like stories, or there maybe are UFOs. So I think people are coming to that. There is an acceptance and a knowingness there is something out there for a lot of people, but they don't choose to look at it, or they don't choose to engage in it. It's kind of like they know it's there. Majority of people I meet, a lot of them say, I believe there's something out there, but I just don't even want to think about it.
Yes. It's sort of unfathomable in a way, isn't it? More than they can handle.
Andrew, are you here? Are you with us again? I think Andrew got abducted, guys.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Yes.
All right. So no, I was not abducted. My internet decided to have a chaotic at that moment.
Not alien anal probing.
Yeah, alien probing. So yes, did you talk about the 12-foot tall aliens in the backyard?
Yeah, so I just basically talked about the fact you said that they were the good guys, and they just landed, came out, and then took off again. in order to test the responses of the defences?
The response times, yes.
The
This
response
is something they
time.
do, the response time, how long it takes special forces, secret forces, and police forces to respond to an incident.
So for this specific incident, Andrew, was it, as Maty was saying, is it a come and go? Did they come down for not long and just went straight back up?
Well, that's to be debated, because the ship left with the people still on the ground.
You're muted. Oh, he's gone again.
There we go, we lost him again.
Those god darn aliens.
No, it's my stupid phone. Let me come out and come back in on another device.
Okay.
I'll come back.
So talking about UFOs, like, it is, some of them stand out. Has anybody seen the Jerusalem UFO? That for me is one of my personal favourites, because so many people saw it. It wasn't just one camera. There was thousands of them. And because there was so many, there was like Jerusalem and all, like the thousands of people live around. There was about over 1,000 people who captured it. And you see the ship and vessel going down to the temple where Jerusalem is, and you see it hovering just above the temple, and all of a sudden it just goes bang, and you see a light just flick up into the sky. If you haven't seen that, listening now, highly recommend typing Jerusalem UFO. It's fucking incredible. And it confirmed it with Andrew that it was a true UFO. And
Extraterrestrial divas.
yes,
Being all dramatic.
Shaking up and going out again. You motherfuckers see
Right
me.
over the Temple of Jerusalem.
It's like a guy in a Ferrari, you know, going really fast past someone. They're like, right, let's show these fuckers something now. That's the kind of energy coming off that one.
I hope they're laughing at you.
Yes.
Or laughing with us, I should say.
I've had some strange experiences with them, especially the kind of Octorian guys. The Hope and Glory, the two main consciousness vessels. I've come across one of those, and they're incredible because it really is just light. It's not like how you would imagine a ship to be, you know. It is just pure consciousness.
No, tell me about Hope and Glory. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, that's part of the old Galactic Historian stuff. That was two of the Octorian vessels where the Octorian consciousness explorers unmanifested their bodies and went into these two vessels and travelled the universe. The two vessels called Hope and Glory, the chariots.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I'd like to share one of my memorable UFO experiences. I said it actually on the show where we had the investigators who were on when we had them on, but I'll share it again because it's just so incredible. As around about 6 years ago, I went for a walk. I wasn't on any drugs or anything like that. I went with my wife, and we basically laid down on a bench, and the stars were out. It was a beautiful night, and we were looking at the stars, and all of a sudden there was one really bright star, and I was like, right, I've got to look at this. For some reason, some knowingness kind of said, just stare at this star. And Gabrielle looked at the star again, and all of a sudden, after about 10 minutes of staring, this star changed and it separated. So it went into two stars, and like you could see, it was like a mothership type thing, and it had the crafts coming in, hundreds of them coming in and out of the vessel. And I was just there watching this huge craft with all the little ones coming in and out. And I was like to my wife, look at this, are you seeing this? She's like, yes, I'm seeing this. Like, thank God. Like, someone's validating this for me.
Yes, Sean, we do. We do need remedial galactic history. I don't remember ever.
Galactic history. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't remember you talking about Hope and Glory. Maty was just telling me.
The Octorian, the Octorian consciousness vessels.
Bad Laura.
Bad Laura.
It's all right. You got a free pass.
You can smack me on the nose with a rolled up newspaper if you want.
No. Slap you on the wrist.
So is it they use womb chakras and volcanoes, is it? So any high energy points of the earth to recharge, is that?
Wherever there's electromagnetic particles coming out of the planet's surface, yes.
And so, why would did those particular beings?
And Kronos particles, being time altering particles.
Kronos, that's pretty cool. So, were they recruited, Andrew, or did they? What would the conversation be like before a group decides to pull off a stunt like that? How much preparation would go into it?
That was a special mission from the very beginning, probably months, if not years, in the planning.
Okay.
Meaning, they have technology that is able to access, the names of the files of all the people working for the government, good guys and bad guys. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is creating a network analysis map of how people respond and how things happen. They want to know how the brain works on the inside, because they can distort everything from internal and there will never be a war, which was what this was about. They needed to see which personalities had psychic skills, which ones didn't, which ones had latent ones through genetic manipulation who are a part of the cabal but are sleeper agents. Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of shit like that goes on. And the whole point was to test it and then scan it, everything that responds to it, news people, everything. Worldwide scan of how it reacts to it.
What about free will then? Do they have a line of free will with everything and them coming in?
Who's free will?
That's what I'm trying to work out. So we talk about free will of changing the humans in any way, and if they come down in a craft in front of us and show themselves, is that against our free will, or is that not?
They weren't coming down and showing themselves.
I mean, in a ship or just like a site. What's the fine line there?
What's a traffic stop? Between getting a ticket and a warning.
Fair enough, then. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
They got off with a warning. Clearly,
got a slap on the wrist.
Crossed the line enough. Are there actual pictures of the 12-foot aliens running around? No.
I've got a few.
You know what I'm talking about. There's no snap with the guy with his arm on him.
Yeah.
Okay. In a Las Vegas, basketball team shirt.
Do you think
Space
we'll see
Jam.
more of this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a matter of how the news media, all the different sides react to it. I think you're going to see a bigger UFO contingent on the news between now and February next year. That does not mean the shit is coming. It just means the Psyops are trying to counter whatever's there. Okay? Because for every one positive UFO site, there are 5,000 negative fake ones. How do you tell them apart?
I remember that awful one I sent you. I knew it was fake, but I just thought I'd ask. If like this,
You couldn't help
someone's in the
yourself,
desert, and all of a sudden they're playing music in the
Come
car.
on, Dale, what are you sending me?
That's like said. There's a fucking trailer with like half a craft on it, just floating down the motorway.
So Kimberly's asking if they're parked up there. She feels like they're always hanging round.
Oh yeah, at any given moment, there's 100,000 ships in our skies.
Yeah.
But they're all invisible. We're unable to see them because they don't operate on the same layer of perspective we do. They don't need cloaking devices like all the other ones. They operate on their own layer. That's the way the world works. The uniworld is layered.
Yeah. So wouldn't necessarily be something like cloud ships that we talk about.
There are cloud ships right now.
Okay.
But are they physical cloud ships? No, they're ethereal.
Okay.
Meaning you couldn't touch it, your hand would pass through it.
But we see them as if they were clouds.
You see them as clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And anything that's on the ethereal plane can be in that cloud ship.
So obviously our own secret governments and so forth have their own versions of these kinds of crafts. How close are they to the kind of technology that the good guys have? Have they gone beyond? Are they caught up with them?
The answer is they have not caught up with them, but they have significant technology to make any battle challenging for whoever was going to be in a battle with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They may not have the unique strategies, or they may have a unique strategy. It's still going to come down to what the purpose of the particular battle or war is, because it's all about the pre-planning. And in When you have precognitive workforces in a military role, what happens? Counter precognitive workforces and counter this and counter that, counter this and counter that.
Because I remember you saying, you know, the one before which was shot down, you were saying that that weaponry the government had was off-world weaponry to get them taken out. Do you remember which one I'm on about, where there was that significant chain of loads of different things happening in Alaska and so on?
When they were trying to stop the loose from getting out.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was also a volcano that was erupting in northern Alaska that was going to destroy a very ancient pyramid, which it ended up doing. And there was a really big multi-dimensional battle around that.
Wow. Nugget, gold.
So I've experienced, Andrew, numerous times of when extraterrestrials use forms of technology to affect our consciousness, be it like a fog they'll shrink the ships and then make a fog and come down as like a little ball of light, or just pure mind technologies. So how much actual action is going on at any given time? I mean, I'm reminded of that Jupiter Ascending movie where they smash up the city and then put it back together and change everybody's memory. Is a lot of that going on all the time?
Could they do that? The external guys, yes. The internal negatives, that's not their goal. They want us to be a battery that charges their wealth over extended periods of time. We are already what they wanted us to become. Okay? They just need to keep improving on us so we don't degrade or evolve past their programming. So when you twist the question around, they've already got it. Now, what could the off-worlders do to fix things? If everyone was in free world agreements, the world's woes, pollution can be taken care of in days, not months or years. The major pollution problems. The major health and illness problems can be taken care of worldwide, days instead of years. Everybody's individually. Now, when it comes to the more severe things like Yucca Mountain, where they take all the nuclear waste and put it away there, and they've been doing it for 30 years, that's a little bit more long-term cleanup. Or the salinities of the ocean, etc. But you're still talking weeks and not centuries. Okay, so yes, they could rapidly change the surface of this planet and all the beings on it if they were all in agreement with it. And you wouldn't need to physically be near them. They have teleporter technology that can individually transport every single living thing on this planet from one place to another. And the teleporter itself is the healing device. It reconstitutes your DNA in such a way that it sheds off the negative rungs of DNA that are causing the sickness. It can reshape and reform the body too.
So in my really heady lightworker days, and I used to read stuff about Area 51 and how they capture vast numbers of humans and do stuff to them under the ground. How true is that? How true is it that these experiments?
50% true. Okay, so as I've talked about how many people have been taken off-world, billions of people have been taken off-world since the 1940s, since post-paperclip. Well, where did they go? They filled out the 3,200 bases they have spread throughout the multiverse. They have operational units and ships in all these different places. Some are acting as good guys, some are acting as explorers, some are acting as defense agents, some are pirates, so on and so forth. Okay? But ultimately, the people here, they don't see anything, but what's going on at any given time is the bigger question. Lots is going on. The subsurface world, the surface world, the astral world. But it's just daily operations. And daily operations are so uniquely controlled through technological and non-technological means, it's easy to keep a separation between the two realities. Or the many realities between this one and the others.
That's what always gets me, Andrew, because sometimes I'll see the ships where they're flying slow from their perspective, but it's slow enough that you can just catch a glimpse. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
And I see those all the time, and And it makes me, just think we've got all that going on in the internals of the planet, all of the stuff that's going on that's phased out all around, and then all of the commerce that's going on, and just this little layer of humans who believe the whole universe is one particular way. It's quite astonishing, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, but that's the nature of the farm.
Yeah.
Think of the toroidal field where you've got all the lines coming out between the donut. Wherever you see an active toroidal field line, there's hundreds of ships inside that line. Because those toroidal field energies, those magnetic energies, recharge the drive and ground the ships so that people in them feel like they're on a surface of a planet. Accessing those energies are vital for all sorts of life forms' continuing existences. And that's why at any given time there's hundreds of thousands of ships in the air. Okay?
Why is it that some are much more communicative, like, is it the Galactic...
Because that's their mission. That's their mission. There are entire ships of hundreds of thousands of individuals who have been tasked with individual psychic connection with individuals on the planet, bypassing the government, making first contact to people like you and me and Joe and Jane and Jim down the street, and see what you can do to stoke up a friendship and not fear.
So the Galactic Federation of Light is one of those then?
Yes. Well, let's just, the GFL's been bastardized in here. Let's just call it good guys, organizations, whatever you want.
Okay. Is there a Lord Ashtar then? I'm going back to my Lightworker days again.
A what?
A Lord Ashtar.
Doesn't go by that name.
No.
Doesn't go by that name.
Oh, okay. When I was reading it.
Sure, but
okay.
No.
Okay.
There's a guy named Ashtar.
Yeah.
Who's not a lord.
Lord. Oh, Lord.
And you've got to remember they have lots and lots of different names.
Right.
Yeah.
How many? Is there many Stargates around?
That's a strictly conspiratorial creation in this reality that has bled over into the other reality, and players in the other reality are playing that role as characters in the play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a position made for them, so they filled it.
Chopping loads of salad
that was
to
the right thing for them to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of how many people know Ashtar through the conspiracy world. Yes, it's twisted energy, but any of those that are able to get away from the twisted back to the natural living, it won't be about what the being's individual name is it?
No,
not at all.
What are all those blinking lights? Oh, that's your sun going through. I'm like, you got UFOs to your left.
So, Andrew,
group.
in the 1970s on British TV, on one of the local TV areas, the Ashtar command, command came in and gave a message. Was that a genuine? I got the feeling it was genuine.
That was
I thought so.
Real. And it's happened more than once. It also happened in Louisiana and Cincinnati in the mid-'80s. And then one time during a baseball game, I think it was a Chicago baseball game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it does happen.
Is there many Stargates around then, Andrew, around this planet? Because I remember you saying
there are more Stargates than pebbles on the ground.
Okay. So I remember, I just got deja vu when you talked about Ibiza being a massive place for Stargates. So that you're saying that's pretty much everywhere.
Well, this whole world is a micro and macro Stargate.
Yeah. Cool.
The whole point of a 7th-dimensional seed plan is create shit here and send it other places.
So yes. These kind of these routes that they're using, like these smuggling routes and these routes that they're using, whatever format they come in, would these be some of these be actually hijacked technology of the Earth from its original purpose?
Others are navigational means to go in between the layers of the uniworld to not be detected. So you're not on one layer and not on another layer. You're in between layers or in a null layer. And if you
I think sounds like Andrew's got him again.
Andrew's gone into a non-layer.
He's gone to the Lord's vessel.
Lord Ashtray.
Lord Ashtray. I love that. The guy I just responded to Max.
Oh, Max.
That's made me giggle. Thank you for that. Lord Ashtray.
Yes, Lord Ashtray.
I like Sean's comment as well. I'm Lord
Oh, yes.
Ashtar, so's my wife.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on, where's that other good question? What's the relationship of CERN in the context of the topic? Thank you, Paulok.
CERN. It is a way to make the layers not work that they don't want to work. It is a multidimensional communication and defense and offensive system. And it is a thing they've been perfecting on many worlds that are going through domination and control, because it can aid the many techniques of surface manipulation and keeping people in the dark of how the reality actually works. CERN, not good. CERN, bad.
Yeah.
That's why a weasel fucking cracked it and took it down for 8 months.
Yeah, weasel magic.
Weasel magic.
Yes.
What did we name him? Phil the Weasel? We named him on one of the shows.
Oh, yes.
So, Andrew, I have a more complex question.
Okay. I have a complex answer.
Good. So, as galactic and universal citizens and shamans, we have the ability to travel out into space. Now, when we're out there, we actually can affect I want to say the word physical, but you can correct me, it's obviously the only terminology I have, but the actual reality that these extraterrestrials and so forth exist in, or a part or one of the realities they exist in. Can you explain the mechanics of that? Because these guys, they're not just flying around in ships in physical bodies and that's all you have. There's so much complexity to the universe itself and how beings travel and coexist within it.
So, depending on the type of transitional motion drives that they have, or kinetic or dimensional transition drives, or teleportation, there's many different ways to travel the multiverse. But if you have a ship that's physical and turns into energy, it can surf the many layers and not be detected on any of them. So, to answer your question, does what they do affect other realities and as us? The answer is yes. Like, if we were to use, in a metaphor, I'm just deciding to go Super Saiyan power up as I'm leaving the planet. Will I affect things? Yes. Because I have abused the power to show off through ego my Super Saiyan special abilities coming on, and that will bleed over into other realities. And part of the greater awareness that the UFOs have is the technology that you use can damage so many other places who are not in your physical location. They could be thousands of light years away. And you can harm and destroy and genocide them out of ignorance.
That's the hub of the interconnectivity of the universe, because
yes.
Sometimes you can be there at a place, and we've experienced this, Andrew, where all of a sudden the universe becomes aware of what's going on and people just show up.
The universal pagers turn on and everybody gets a beeper and has to run.
Yeah.
And yes, the universe still uses pagers. It doesn't want to update the phones. It's a boomer universe.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk about going on galactic missions, what are they doing?
Light body technology in space.
Okay.
What are they doing?
So they're projecting themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it helpful?
Can be.
I don't know, is it?
Can get you in trouble.
What have you noticed?
I've been shot a few times.
Okay. No, Maty would know more than me. Oh, I suppose yes, because I've seen myself on a spaceship. So yes. Yep. Yeah.
Like Inception. Good idea. Good way of describing it. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
So
we're all looking at the chat for questions because
we got a bit. Let's turn to the chat room. It seems we have a lot of experiencers there.
Yes.
Ethan Barber Marciniak. That's like David Icke. It's a love-hate. For as much positive she has done, she has neutralized her positive with something stupid. And again, I'm not knocking on David Icke. When you're around so long and you have to stay relevant, you tend to say bombastic things that really don't apply to the greater teachings of what you're trying to say. And everyone out there goes through that as you're trying to stay relevant through the different generations of material. Did David Icke screw the world by lizard people are everywhere? Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Think of how many people are terrified of the lizard people that are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When it's in fact a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of people on the surface are lizards.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a free-for-all feeding service here, like they want you to think.
So what about things like cloning technology and that then, Andrew? Because have you seen that video in the Russian nightclub where the lights go off, the power goes off, and some of the people on the dance floor, their eyes are glowing? And then it comes back on again. That's fake, is it really?
That's fake. That's fake.
Some good
anytime you
estimates.
see glowing eyes, that technology's been around since, let's see. Remember Xena, Warrior Princess?
Yeah.
That's where it was debuted on, the glowing eye technology for movies. Right. Yeah, that's how far it's advanced too. And you can actually get contacts that when light shines on them, they glow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Have you seen the picture of Kennedy with the aliens? That makes me laugh. Where he sat down and
I haven't seen that one.
It's so funny. There's just some greys next to him and everyone's like, this is real. It's like, no, it's fucking not.
So there was a famous one that was, what was his name now? Was it Thor? It's supposed to be from Venus.
Valiant Thor.
Valiant Thor. Yeah. What about that particular story?
Real as fuck.
Yeah, I thought so.
So real, he scared everybody so terribly bad. Today there are ripples of fear of the power that he held back on, of all the shit that they did to him. Okay? Nothing affected him. He still wouldn't talk to everyone he needed to talk to, and then walked out of the cell and disappeared when he was ready.
Yeah. Because he was seated in the government buildings with the politicians and the military
met
people.
everyone on a human level, yeah. That was his point of coming here.
And there was nothing they could do.
To talk to each individual person and gauge where the individual leaders are, because they already know the population is ready, the leadership isn't.
Yes.
And right now they need to get the leadership to give power back to the population so there's no mass kill-offs.
Yes.
The leadership is holding us hostage. They got the gun to our heads. And the aliens are the hostage negotiators.
Can I ask a question about presidents, Andrew? How much information do they get about UFOs?
Say that again.
You know, so when a president when someone becomes a president of the United States, how much information do they get about extraterrestrials? Because there's so
virtually
much.
Nothing.
Okay.
Put it this way: Kennedy was the last one that was even semi-read in, and Reagan was only read in a little bit.
Makes sense.
Okay, no president since basically Kennedy has had any full form of read-in, and Kennedy didn't have a full read-in, and only Reagan had a partial read-in. So no, they don't get a choice whatsoever.
I'm sorry, don't get a trip on the galactic ships. You're president now. Come with me. We'll show you the ships.
Oh, this is an interesting.
I'm sorry, Eisenhower would be the last one fully read in.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question from Ethan. Andrew, if you were the fourth man on the Apollo moon mission, what would you share in what actually happened in your tell-all book? That post-mission media conference was awkward.
Well, assuming they weren't going to kill me for what I said,
yeah,
and I wasn't going to die on stage, and I actually got a chance to actually say what I was going to say, great, we were up there. Everything you saw was fake, filmed down here, but we were up there. What we saw up there were giant structures and tens of thousands of living beings there. They came out to look at us going, why the fuck are you here? Okay? And then there being a moment where we drew our guns to think we were defending ourselves when we weren't defending ourselves because they were inside our heads. It was all telepathic communication. We got off our ship, got in our little rover thing, and drove around for a while. My God, this place is a junkyard. There's shit everywhere. Crashed ships, crushed buildings, living beings everywhere. Oh, wait. It's not actually a moon. Oh, wait. It is deep. It's hollow. Oh, shit. It's an actual ship. That's what I'd say.
Now you got.
And they knew that. They knew that before they got there.
Sorry,
yeah?
what? Sorry,
they knew that before they
rewind.
got there.
So here's another famous one, Andrew. there was all this information going around about a big craft that was seen in space, and there was videos of them approaching it. Actually, no, it was on the moon, wasn't it? It was like a crashed craft on the moon, and they approached it, and there was a woman in there that looked kind of Mongolian type.
That's from the same set of files, and that crashed ship was 7 kilometers long and 2 kilometers tall.
Yeah, and the body, the picture of the body, that was a real being with the diamond in the head,
Yes, real being.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we just don't see photos like that coming out anymore.
Yeah, but the being with the diamond in the head wasn't a living sentience. It was a... How do I put it?
Biomechanical suit.
No, more like a remote-operated super suit. Like, think of Guardians of the Galaxy, those repair pods things that they had that they chased around in, but put it into a body and put a crystal in the head, and the crystal allows them to cyclically manipulate and control thousands of other biological entities that are all programmable biological entities. It's like a robot interface control master repair and defense offense system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many beings would operate a system like that?
Oh, one of those bots could have 50, 60, 100 consciousnesses in it because it was a hub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It was a hub.
So is there one civilization on the moon or many civilizations?
Hundreds, thousands.
At
It's just
different
like there are
layers?
tens of thousands, just like there are tens of thousands of species on the hollow Earth.
Right.
There are the same amount up there. Think of it this way. If we call Hollow Earth, one of the Hollow Earth cities, the New York of the underworld, one's the Paris, well, one's got to be the bumfuck nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And the moon is the sticks, the country.
Yeah.
Okay?
What you
Is
doing
it
around here,
surrounded
boy?
by military factions? Yeah. So it would be like living next to a military base in a militarized zone. Okay? Not everyone wants to live on the surface. There are plenty of beings who are like, yeah, eternal night, great. Love it.
So I know you said that it was like a United Nations type scenario that's going on there. So who upholds the rules?
Okay, it's more of a hotel than a United Nations. And the hotel meaning beings from the 19th dimension to the first dimension can come and operate there and be seen physically and interact with people. That's the main technology on that planet, on the moon. Then there are all the groups who have representatives there who have formed a loose association of unionized nations for those who are external coming to Earth and have to go through the Earth learning rules. Before you're allowed on Earth, you got to go through Earth training school, which is on Mars. Okay? And then, I'm sorry, which is on Mars and the moon. And then you go to Hollow Earth and go through the Hollow Earth training because they teach you how to operate in the different layers before they allow you under the surface.
And then you would become a part of the birthing cycle. You would have to go through.
No. There are those that choose that because that's what their greater exploration is. But there are others that are just going to live out their 700 years on the surface because they're going to be a secret agent or a sleeper agent, or they just want to be here for the Great Awakening and they bribe some motherfucker to get them there.
Well, and they'll just look like a normal person walking around.
Like Star Wars.
Yeah, just like a normal person, yeah.
So are you talking about these type of people? Would they be under the same category as those who walk amongst us? You say there's a lot of galactic beings who actually come kind of walk amongst us. Are you talking about they would have to go to Mars before to make sure they're kind of trained?
If they're going through the system, yes. But
Okay,
the
yeah,
system
yeah.
is going to try to weaponize them and make them loyal to the system, but not everybody. There are people that make the oath but don't give a fuck about the oath, okay? But they're also not going to let technology into their body that could put them into be controlled, okay? That's ultimately, if you're in the government, they put nanites into you, track you and control you.
Mm-hmm.
Do many people come to be like walk amongst us and just stay here and just stay for a long time?
The answer is not as much as you think. They don't come here to be with us. They come here to operate in the many layers that have open space and room for all sorts of immigrants to come and have a reality, create their own space and the uniqueness of this energy and the type of planet and consciousness mind that it is. Many of them would love to be able to freely live with us, but they know right now the soup of all that isn't ready, so it's good for them to come here and stay in their layers and create their communities here.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be a part of the awakening too, and they have every right to be.
Yeah. What was the name of that village, Andrew, where that was supposedly all inhabited in America by extraterrestrials, and then something happened on that village? It supposedly burnt down, but it was just perfectly, all the buildings, no trees or anything was damaged. Do you know the one I mean? It's got a funny name. Oh. Okay, I'll see if I can find it.
Talking about Essex.
Essex.
So we could have a light body aspect of ourselves actually on a spaceship.
Yes.
And how many people is that? Like everybody on Earth has the potential to do that. Is it?
Our legacy is to be multidimensional, multifunctional photonic beings of light who can operate on thousands of layers of reality that do not compete with the master consciousness's normal experiences. So yes, we will inherit the capacity to be in thousands of places as at once, and for our mind to not be cogged down or in control of one or more than the other. It'll be a natural part of our growth of multidimensional legacy.
So it's a free choice whether we do that or not at the soul level.
Sure, you got to learn it and practice it and enforce it in this reality.
Right,
That's why that daily practice of raising one frequency is so vitally important. There comes a certain level where you get the critical energy mass tipping point where the practice has elevated you into the capacity to see the many layers of the uniworld.
Mm.
The rest is, what do you do with the information?
Which means you could also be on more than one light ship.
Sure, we have thousands if you want.
Yeah.
Are you referring to Paradise, California? That's what the chat room was saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I ask, you know, is it Stephen Greer? Is that his name? The Syrian
Disclosure Project. Yeah.
So do you know that small little being? He always
the serious
showed,
being, yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about what type of being is that? Is that like the mechanical skin suit type being?
No, that's a real being.
Okay.
That's a Sirius Beta being.
Wow.
There's more there. Sirius doesn't have one body type. It's not required. So you could have things that have 9 arms to 2 arms to no arms to vertebrates and invertebrates, but they're all Syrians because they collect at a consciousness level. So that's a Syrian beta. But that also being has also gone through tremendous genetic manipulation. Okay?
So in the early days, you used to talk about the Silver Legion.
Yep.
What was their specific role? Contact.
Help free worlds.
Okay.
Always have a trained group of special forces that can be on call to go to any part of the multiverse for extremely dangerous missions done by insane beings trying to create galactic level annihilations.
And were you in contact with them, or are you still,
I've cut down a lot of contact up there in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I regularly go, yo, dudes, what's up? No.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I understood I needed to be more here, and talking about them up there was not what they wanted me to do. It was okay to talk about it, but not an ongoing process. I'm supposed to be here creating solutions here.
Yeah.
That's why they're helping me here. And that's why I had to go through that grander journey. All right, they want me here. I've known that for the whole time, but I'm having fun up there. And they're like, have fun a different way. Oh, wait. I'm an unlimited being. I can have fun any way I want. It's not the temper tantrum. I want to talk to the Silver Legion, and I want to go on missions. No, missions fuck you up in this reality. And anyone that's on this, I'm going to go do a mission, I'm going to go free the Pope, clear the energies of the Vatican, you're fucking morons. And please, somebody help me with that statement, why they have to understand why these mission morons that are out there everywhere freeing the planet, saving the world, why they're the fucking crazies.
Because because you don't have the mastery behind you, you don't have the skills, the techniques, you don't have the years of practice. These things, they come to you. You don't just go to them, they come to you. And if you're going to have these kinds of missions, they're going to happen in a synchronistic way where you know that it's right and you're ready for the mission, because you are going to get hit and hit hard. And then, you just and a lot of the time people are just absolutely fooling themselves. They're not doing anything that they think they're doing.
Say they've saved the world from doing their missions.
They're just
fucking idiots.
Yeah,
it's an individual self mastery journey.
Let me ask the chat. If you were listening to some channeler or some speaker who has some form of capacity to talk, and they stated to you, I went on a mission and I saved everyone in the world, do you believe them? What? So chat room, please try to answer that. Dale, what would you deal if you had a session with a person that would tell you that?
I think their ego would be so high and they'd be so lost in their ego that they'd lose themselves in their own reality, and they'd be just far gone. It's quite, I'd say insane is the right word to say, because I've seen it both hands. I've been with someone like 8 years ago who came over, who was just battling the galactics, thinking he was clearing out all these areas. It's just insanely stupid, and that's not what they want. And like yesterday, as Andrew said, that I had the deja vu in my ceremony yesterday, because I was speaking to the grandmothers, and as I was saying about maybe doing some message for more of the collective stuff, they said, we don't want that. They aren't ready for that. We don't want to step on their journey. Only for the people who are ready, don't do that. So I was like, there was a part of me in my little light worker side, but it's about taming that in. But for stupid, I think the right word, insane for me.
Yeah, because we're here to anchor the light on Earth, not to be off it and doing other things. We're here to work with the natural frequencies.
And so many of these people believe that just because they're interested in spirituality, they're absolutely untouchable. That is absolute bullshit. And there's so many people out there that just get into spirituality, have a slight idea of what it's about, and they think that they're Jesus Christ and they can't be affected by anything. Well, you're at the bottom of the feeding chain. Trust me.
Yeah, you're the shrimp to be fed on by the whales of the planet. Okay. Your micros. Now let's go into another thing, the psychology of people who live by the mission, die by the mission. Because Laura, you asked about Silver Legion. What I learned about talking about it is it sent people to do missions who were never ready. And my longer term conversations with them, Warriors of Twilight and a bunch of others, was you personally have your experience. Have your fun with it. Don't regurgitate it here unless there are some unique people who are ready. And so we've already contacted them, and it'll just be part of a unique activation energy. Okay? So what about those missioneers? They base their whole life about doing missions.
Well, the one thing that I see in all of them, and this doesn't even have to be spirituality, this could be eco-warriors and the likes, is they just absolutely martyr their own life force for everything and anything that comes into their field of expression or experience. Something that they watch or something that people say. They're just giving off energy without ever creating any of their own.
Right. They think they've become the special air service of galactic response.
It's
just where did they get their SAS training?
Exactly.
It feels to me like it's just losing reality. And like I had a part of myself back in 2012 who was like that, who I'm doing inner work on now because it's really fucking me up at times. It's kind of like you lose reality and you go so off into being a martyr, you just lose everything. You probably don't have any friends, and the people who are around you are fucking probably just as crazy and weird as the person doing it. It's such a strange concept now looking back at me back there doing it. I'm like, why the fuck was I even thinking about that?
All right, so I have a statement from Kimberly Ann. Are we all here on a mission, quote unquote, question mark? Depends on the context. Sure, but then there comes a point where life is life. Life isn't the mission. When you make it a mission, you become serious at a different level. It changes the perception of how context is perceived. Okay? And another person is, Andrew, can you define what genuine mission work was? Genuine mission work is you're healing an individual being coming through cancer and helping them going through the recovery of shards. Now, when you start going into the volcanoes and mountains and having experiences with planet Earth, is that a mission? No, you're experiencing the way you communicate to the planet. When you start concluding, I've saved the Earth, who's an infinite being, I've saved billions of people who have their own infinite choice to not allow you to save them, there is where you transition from natural spiritual experiences that are normal and can have great wonders behind them into the ego that says, I did this for you. When in fact it was a stepping on the journey of everyone else.
They're not doing it for the experience, they're almost doing it for the notoriety.
Right, they're doing it for the fighter ace, mark on the side of the plane. I saved the Earth 5 times. I saved the Earth 9 times during the war. So when I come out of the war, I'll be a war veteran. I kind of like those people who impersonate military during the non-times. That's what these mission people are to me.
They make loads of
The vast
videos.
majority of them have no basics, no real practice, and any real practice that they do is below basics.
Which makes them actually even more vulnerable when they do that.
Which makes them dangerous tools in the reality that can be turned into weapons on others.
Yep. How many crystal shops do you go into, or spiritual stores do you go into when you see a withered-looking being sat behind the desk?
Yep.
Just giving off this energy that's just not nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there.
I like that, yeah.
Untempered,
undisciplined.
Untempered and undisciplined hero complex. Beautiful statement.
Exactly.
5
Well
points
said.
for her.
Well done, Maggie.
Yeah, well done. Round of applause. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper into mission work before we switch to the next subject matter.
So
Okay?
it goes in.
What was a positive mission? Remember when I took you guys on the tour of the GFL planet, or we went to the Warriors of the Twilight? Mm-hmm. There's an example.
Yes, yeah.
Okay?
It wasn't treading on anyone else's journey.
We weren't treading on anyone's journey. And the mission was, I want to experience it. Dropping yourself into a war zone? That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard this say, don't poke the sleeping dragon? That's what they do. They walk into the temple of the devil and kick it in the nuts and expect a response going, bring it, I'm a light worker. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And their own egos color the experience from negative to positive for them. So what are some other positive missions? I want to heal myself.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to heal my loved one. Maybe I can go on a spiritual journey and help them recover something. Yes, Sean, spiritual jackass. That's another way to put it.
Yes.
Okay?
And the thing is as well, when you what I find positive is when you can translate your humanity. You know, Andrew, that when we have so much of this spiritual stuff going on around us all the time, it's those genuine human moments that mean the most, isn't it? The human experiences, that's what we really feed from. And so there is a way to translate that to these communications. And so some of them I've had, where I was communicating with the Peshwa, and they came into my consciousness and we partied. We played music and we danced, and it was, they came into my world at that time, and that was so much more fulfilling than dropping into a war zone or any of that other kind of craziness.
Okay.
Real genuine relationships.
Why do people drop into war zones? Let's make that a round table, around everyone here.
So that's got to be some form of like spiritual patriotism.
Okay, Laura?
A Symmetry, a point to prove, something to prove.
Okay.
Ego.
Dale? Dale?
Because it makes them feel semi-good, and it's like a fake good, but realistically they'll never evolve in their inner self by looking within and start sourcing true happiness through being here, experiencing. They're always looking to have the instant gratification experience and validating their ego. That's how I see it.
Dopamine release junkies. Just
Yes.
like adrenaline junkies, except you're getting it in the spiritual world. Like those guys that got into a metal submarine and went to 13,000 feet below the ocean with no rescue system whatsoever. You know, only 2 ships in the whole world that can go that deep, and none of them set up to be rescue vehicles. Okay, that adrenaline level rush. Now you get 60-year-old mothers of 4 doing this. You have 20-year-old kids doing this, and many of them end up absolutely mentally disabled with the rest of reality. They are so disconnected from absolutely everything, and the feeding of their own dopamine release. Okay. They truly become miserable beings forever in the adrenaline rush and never going to truly feel the love of the earth on their skin through the sun, because they'd only feel the love through war. And that's a being as a soul that's been through war too many times, and the main mission of their mission is to not be at war this time. Be a peacekeeper and a peacemaker.
Flip the frequency on the programs.
Hold the pipe of peace.
Okay, Sean, my childhood Toronto shaped me with the Disney delusion of needing to be the big hero. Great. Good words. How do you stop your hero complex? By being humble.
Yeah.
By being humble. Humble fixes so much.
Mm-hmm.
My shit stinks just like yours. Okay? I'm flawed just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I am not perfect. I make mistakes. And you go from there. Humble yourself. Humble without hurting yourself. Because if humbling hurts, that means there was a huge ego in place there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to go through that pain of facing the ego like that enough times to realize you don't need to make those choices again, because it's just something else to add on to that sensation. Eventually you just navigate your way out from it.
Yep. So Danae, hey guys, how things? More drama and trauma in the brain health melt as well. Yep, we know that. It's going off the hook right now. Really, really bad. And then you're having a lot of people who are been taking a synthetic heroin and a really bad synthetic copy of what's it fucking called? The new thing they're putting, fentanyl, and they're having full mental schisms from it.
Yeah,
the fentanyl is creating full separation of and personalities inside of people.
Shit.
Yeah, and then you have the meth they've been adding fentanyl to the meth also. And some other stuff, which is creating a whole different form of mental breakdowns, pure mental breakdowns, where you're shattering tremendously important parts of the internal workings of humans.
Did you say the humans are the only one who have like hard drugs? It was only created here.
No, there are plenty of other worlds that have hard drugs. It's just we take recreational drugs to a whole different level.
Yeah.
Okay. We have the recreational drugs without the medicine to fix it. Imagine being able to do all the recreational drugs you want and you fix it all the next day with the medicine you have. There's no consequence to it.
I know from experience. Yep.
Right. So if there's no consequence and no long-term change to the greater you, is there really going to be an issue with drugs? No, it's a fad that comes every few years and goes. Red cars this year, cocaine for the aliens next year. Okay?
Finest Colombian.
This year. Right, they're straight this year. They're straight edge, okay?
Some hookers as well.
Yeah.
They have hooker worlds.
Yeah, Maty's been there many times.
How am I going to say it? Maty works in birth control trash deliveries recovery. So we have an active chitty chat room over there.
Yeah, we do.
All right, all you
Just
chitty chatters, why don't you ask a deep involved question?
A masterful question.
Phil Schneider, yes, he was killed for that, yes. But he wasn't the only one that was killed for that, or quite dozens of them were killed for that. The only ones that weren't killed were the ones that had counter blackmail on the system, saying, you kill me, I have greater information that will kill everything. Because they don't have to testify in this reality. They can testify in other realities, which can be far more dangerous.
Do
I know about soul braids? Don't know how you're combining that words. It sounds like lightworker salad. Word salads. How do we feel about ion magic mushrooms when done in a ceremonial state and not in a recreational state, and done on a limited basis with a person who has a daily practice, and then after they do those, they continue the daily practice to try to achieve that state without it? You're absolutely fine to do it a handful of times a year, and there comes a point where you don't need it anymore. Once you start a ceremony, it always stays with you. And anyone that's done ayahuasca at any form of real level knows that. You're never getting out of it. It's always there. It's always in the background, waiting for you to summon it back up to the levels of you could touch it and feel it.
So there's a question here, Andrew, which is a cool question. When is first contact that's undeniable going to happen? And now this is something that I remember was a big thing for me.
Who's undeniable?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's an individual process, and I hear stories of people having contact, and they're completely different to the type of contact that I have and contact that other people have, because it's very dependent upon who you are, what your life is like, how much healing you have to do, how fearful you are, or a plethora of other subject matters that are dependent on how contact can happen for you as an individual, not as a collective at all.
Remember earlier in the show I said there are whole ships out there with hundreds of thousands of millions of people trying to contact the surface people here?
Yeah.
Sometimes the surface person doesn't know what to do with the voice in their head. Mm-hmm. And the person on the other side has to be non-offensive, and sometimes you just are a story in the background until they believe it. And then there's a greater revealing. Yeah, most of what I told you was a story, but much of the context in it was to try to teach you about multidimensional awareness. So you have a lot of first contact beings who aren't ready for it. Okay? And it takes decades to train them to be ready for full interactive contact. And then, as you see all over the internet, there's all sorts of people who are well connected with those things because they've been practicing. They embraced the truth of it years before. Okay? So first contact is first contact. 97th contact is totally different.
Yeah.
When you've been contacted 9,600 times.
Yeah.
You're fluid in their world. You're fluent. So, APO, the secret space program, how many cruisers, destroyers, aircraft carriers, size ships does the Five Eyes have, military have? It doesn't matter. They can be overproduced instantaneously. The other worlds can produce 1 million ships in 5 hours. Imagine that, with crews for them. They can maybe produce 100 in an hour here, if everything was working together with all of their bases. That's how fast they can be outproduced. Numbers are insignificant in this form of warfare. Cricket?
Yeah.
A DMT cat raccoon took me on adventures.
I was just reading that.
Good.
Sounds like a good night.
A DMT cat raccoon.
All right, so the person was we're talking about soul brains. More than one soul stream in a body. That's known as a forked source stream, but it's in reality it's one here and one there, but they come from the same source. You don't actually have two souls in one body. That's actually a bigger reality-based myth. You have a twin. So when you just say copy and replace it with twin, there is slight variances that allow little differences in free will choice. So yes, it's just a different way of describing forked source stream or twinning energy. There are many people who are in the womb and you have a twin, and then you absorb it into your body, and you have birthmarks, what many birthmarks are. Okay? It's very, very common to absorb a twin. It's how we learn deeper, more important lives in the world, because that twin has another set of spiritual contracts that we will complete for them, which expands us. So, no, you're not two-spirited. You still have to, you're missing the fundamentals of how, can something be grafted onto you, be a technology? Sure. But that's not natural two souls in one body. It actually doesn't work that way. It's a twin. Each one has to have a slightly different purpose. Like grapes on a vine, they all look the same, but they all come from the same vine. They all taste relatively the same.
So are there forms of plants or trees on other worlds that can do more than they do here? So that's something that Andrew's talked about quite a bit. There's
Yes.
we had on one of our shows recently, we had something that was akin to a walking bush.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, plant medicines on this world are highly, highly, highly valued in other worlds. And there are plant medicines on other worlds that are highly valued here. And then there are the combinations of medicines from this world and some of the other healer worlds brought to war worlds to do grander healing medicines. And there's intergalactic alchemy between the different plant species that go on. And then I'm sure everyone's going to ask, what does it take to get a gray high? Okay? Put them in a room full of smoke. Because they absorb it through their skin. Okay? What happens when a gray's high? You fuck shit up. You do not know with excess amounts of THC. But there are other, compounds which, are harmless to us, like boron. If you were to create a boron bath that wouldn't melt a person, melt a being, that would be their crack cocaine.
Is ayahuasca originally from here?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's also from other places simultaneously.
Yep.
It has many origin points.
So what would be the reason? Let's say you've got an off-world species that are doing some form of ceremonial expression, and they say, do you know what? We want some mushrooms from Mexico on Earth. What would be their reason to particularly choose the Earth? Is it that it's provenance, or is there more
They'd
to
probably
it?
have a vision that would lead them to Earth and to that actual mushroom plant on the surface or subsurface. Because that mushroom can interdimensionally communicate to the universe through the mycelial network. So it's attracting beings here. Just like a dog can smell a scent in a wind here, you could have somebody 1,000 light years away put their metaphorical nose in the air. I sense mushrooms out there. Truffle hunting. Okay? Then they go on the grand adventure.
Like the English to Wales every September.
Yep. Dave. Hello, Dave. Hope you're recovering good.
Oh, hi, Dave.
Stephen Greer had a Raytheon contractor who worked on a neutrino detector in Antarctica. The detector is a 1 kilometer cube matrix device. It's bigger than that, actually. It's spread over about 50 kilometers now. And it is a massive traffic control and early warning system all blended into one. That neutrino filter allows them to see, no matter what dimension you're using or what technological drive you're using, if you're originating source on this place from another originating source, it can detect you. And give you communication, encrypted communications for what layers of reality you're supposed to operate on, what wave frequency allows you free flow through your space. Is it a scalar weapon? I just answered what it is. Can it down ships? Yes. It doesn't need to, though. It has other things to control. Its main purpose is to make sure you don't go into the layers you're not supposed to. So all of a sudden people in California look up and go, there's a 7-mile ship above Los Angeles. You know, why didn't it get there? And then it fades out of reality. Okay? That shit has happened many times. The air traffic control system broke down.
Mm-hmm. So does that happen quite frequently then? That they show up and it's not because they've got some divine intervention going on, it's just because like they fucked up?
Is there a mountain in the North Pole? No. Because the word mountain is anything over 1,000 feet above sea level. So technically no. But then again, what's the North Pole? I think it was actually reverting to the South Pole, where the pyramids, the mountains are giant pyramids down there.
Yeah.
Have you seen where those pictures of the North Pole from the satellite, the Antarctica, and the sea a ship? I'm not sure. Is that true? Have you seen that one?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
He's the real.
What about that one? There's a really famous one. I think it was in South Africa or something, where the ship landed and the beings got out and they spoke to the school children.
That was Australia.
Australia was it? That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Melbourne.
In Melbourne, in 1974, and then it re-happened in 2002, I believe. Different, but it was in a different city. They just landed in a backyard with a bunch of school kids and teachers. Yeah.
Playing ball, playing some
catch. No, they got out and spoke to them all. They got out and spoke to them all, Dale, and then the children, obviously they reported it, and all the children were collaborating together to tell the same story.
He saw it too.
I've not seen that. I've got a few written down. I'm gonna have to check out after this show.
Does Andrew know of the Ceres?
The what?
Seres. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The Ceres.
Is it an angelic being? I can only think of the seraphim, but you're just not spelling
Don't
it right.
know. Crowman, you have to.
That's what I thought.
I might be mispronouncing it. You might have to put something else and put it in the chat again.
Or it's not spelled. So, Kush, do you have anything about mastering alchemy and what type of spiritual tech it is? Yes, I have a whole alchemy series inside my store if you want to go look at it. I couldn't possibly answer that all in one statement. It's like 20 hours of coursework. on what alchemy is, was, and can be for everybody out there, and how to practice it for yourself.
And your body is the tech.
Yes. Well, guys, let's talk about what we are going to be going to. We are going to be leaving for Scotland. This time next week, we will not be doing a show. I will be flying to Scotland, landing there, having a day, and then getting on a bus with everyone. And then after the bus tour, what are we doing, ladies and gentlemen?
We're going down to York, near where Dale lives. And we're going to do combined therapies healing day on the 22nd of July. We actually have one space left at the moment for that day, where you can experience craniosacral therapy, a float, a PEMF mat, or a Lucia light. And there'll be back-to-back treatments, and we'll all be there. And then we are looking at doing some other days with a concierge service, which is like a la carte type healing, so we can put together different packages for you. And that will be also in York. So we'll be in York 2 weeks running these. So anybody in the UK who is interested in doing that, please drop me a line, laura2feathers@gmail.com, 2 with the number 2.
Yeah, and you absolutely, it's more than just a healing session, because you have all three of us working on you as well. And there's a session, a half-hour session booked in with the first day as well, with Andrew included in that price.
Yeah.
So you imagine a Lucia light with light language.
It's not the same day, but it's booked online.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Or the PEMF mat with psychic surgery.
Exactly. That's a whole other dimension to what is already a very powerful healing technique.
Yes. And then we're going to come up with the colonics healing, too, where psychic surgery doing your colonic.
Yeah. We pray over the water for 10 hours.
Yep.
Oh yeah, did I say the float? Did I say flotation pod?
Yes,
I
you
missed
did
that
say
off.
that.
I did. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only because I only said that because we did the colonics show, where the light language colonics show,
Oh
which
yeah.
got a lot
yeah.
of people shitting up a storm, let me tell you.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one. Yeah.
We'll be back, so that'll be our first show back.
Yeah.
All right. Let's call this an end to the show. Laura, giveaway for people to get a hold of you.
Laura2feathers@gmail.com, because Maty's just redoing our website at the moment. So anything to do with the healing days that we're doing in York, contact me as well, and I'll send you out a private invite.
Dale, giveaway for people to get a hold of you.
If anybody would like a psychic surgery colonic, go on to daletobin.com and I can offer that to you spiritually. And if anybody would like to train in psychic surgery as well, go on to daletobin.com and check it out. Thank you.
Maty, giveaway for people to get a hold of you.
Just as Laura's just said, our website is down at the moment, so none of the products are available on there. But if you want to contact me for private sessions, it's Maty Waller, 2 feathers medicine, one word, @gmail.com.
Okay? You all know who I am. You can go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. We have another mentorship session starting in the second week of September. Go to if you are interested in getting a mentorship journey with me, go to the website, andrewbartzis.com, look at the store feature, and you will, or the mentorship tag, and you will see all the information that gets with being a mentorship student with me. Everyone on this show has been a mentorship student, and many, many other people have had some amazing experiences next leveling with it. Alrighty, everyone, we will be back tomorrow night for our last game stream, because I will not be able to be game streaming at 1 o'clock in the morning British time unless we game stream at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. But we will try to figure out and sort out all the Friday shows, the Thursday shows. You will only be missing us for 2 Thursday shows, everyone. Don't worry. Joel has prepared some amazing replays. All right, Joel, take us away.
Thanks everyone in the chat. Thank you.
Healing comes in many forms, all the colors aligned. You are free as a dove when you choose, a sovereign state of being.
And allow this product to work with the 7 color chakras in our own energy system.
Meditations can trigger DNA wisdom and memories in light, out-creating our limited chemical memories. So sit back, relax, as we take you on a journey of light and colour.